Have you ever wondered why you sometimes find yourself repeating certain patterns in your relationship? Once in my consultation, I met Maria. Maria had a pattern of being drawn to partners who were emotionally unavailable. For example, whenever a relationship started to become serious and stable, Maria would subconsciously pull away. Fearing intimacy and commitment, this often led her to end things just when they were getting good, repeating this cycle over and over and over again. This behavior can be linked to what we call avoidant attachment. Hello, I'm Dr. Katia Batista, a psychiatrist. In today's video, I'll explore how attachment styles influence not only romantic relationships, also our connections with family, friends, and colleagues. I'll dive deep into how these early bonding patterns shape our lives and our mental well-being. So, what is attachment? Attachment refers to emotional bond we develop with those closest to us. Starting from infancy, it influences what we perceive and responds to others, and it plays a significant role in our emotional regulation and interpersonal dynamics. It's essential to understand how attachment forms. From the very beginning of life, our interactions with primary caregivers, usually parents or guardians, play an essential role. These early relationships lay the foundation how we perceive trust, security, and intimacy. These formative experiences influence our attachment patterns for life. A caregiver's responsiveness, sensitivity, and consistency help shape whether we develop a secure attachment or, conversely, a more anxious or avoidant styles. For example, a child who consistently receives sensitive and reliable care is more likely to develop a secure attachment, leading to healthier relationships in adulthood. On the other hand, inconsistent or neglectful caregiving can contribute to anxiety or avoidance in future relationships. Having understood how attachment forms and its profound impact on our emotional development, it's time to explore the different attachment styles. Let's begin with the most common and foundational attachment style, secure attachment. Individuals with secure attachment typically experience intimacy and independence, which positively impacts all kinds of relationships. Secure attachment is considered the most adaptive form of attachment. It typically develops when caregivers are consistently responsive and sensitive to the child's needs. Individuals with this type of attachment generally have a positive view of themselves and others, leading to healthy, balanced relationships. This secure base allows for emotional regulation and resilience, contributing to overall mental well-being. In a romantic relationship, a securely attached person shows respect for their partner's boundaries, communicates openly and honestly, and offers support without being overbearing. For example, they might listen carefully when their partner needs to talk and respect their need for space when necessary. In a family setting, someone with secure attachment is supportive and dependable. They listen without judgment, help out when needed, and express their feelings openly. For instance, they might regularly check in with family members to offer emotional support and maintain a strong, trusting bonds. At work, a securely attached individual is reliable, collaborates well with colleagues, and communicates clearly. They are open to feedback, offer help when needed, and build positive, trusting relationships with their peers. This not only enhances their professional relationships but also contributes to a positive work environment. On the other hand, anxious attachment is characterized by a strong desire for closeness and a fear of rejection or abandonment. Anxious attachment often arises from inconsistent caregiving, where the caregiver is sometimes responsive and other times neglectful. This can lead to heightened sensitivity to perceived threats of abandonment. Individuals with this type of attachment often seek constant reassurance and may experience intense worry about their relationships. This can sometimes lead to emotional dysregulation and anxiety. In a romantic context, an anxiously attached person often needs ongoing emotional confirmation from their partner. When there is distance, even if it's temporary or normal, they might feel uneasy and start worrying about the stability of the relationship. Within family dynamics, someone with anxious attachment may look for constant signs of acceptance and emotional safety from relatives, frequently questioning their importance or their place within the family. In the workplace, this kind of individual may rely heavily on external feedback from colleagues or supervisors, feeling unsettled when that feedback is absent and becoming overly concerned about their performance or role. Let's talk about avoidant attachment. This style is characterized by a preference for independence and discomfort with too much closeness. In childhood, avoidant attachment often develops when caregivers are emotionally unavailable or dismissive. For example, a caregiver might be physically present but emotionally distant, rarely offering comfort or affection. A child in this environment learns to rely on themselves and maybe suppressed their emotional needs, leading to a preference for independence and a discomfort with intimacy. In romantic relationships, avoidantly attached persons may value personal space and may appear distant or emotionally reserved. For example, they might prefer to keep the relationship casual and feel uncomfortable with too much emotional dependence. In a family context, an avoidantly attached individual might maintain emotional distance, often valuing independence and sometimes appearing aloof or detached. For instance, they might prefer to keep interactions brief and avoid deep emotional conversations at work. These individuals may prefer to work independently, keeping a professional distance from colleagues and sometimes avoiding deep personal connections. Let's delve into fearful avoidant attachment. This style blends a desire for closeness with a fear of getting hurt, leading to a push-pull dynamic. Fearful avoidant attachment often stems from traumatic or inconsistent caregiving. For instance, a caregiver might oscillate between being nurturing and then suddenly rejecting or even frightening. This creates a confusing dynamic for the child who craves closeness but also fears it. As adults, these individuals may struggle with trusting others and experience a push pull pattern in relationships, vacillating between wanting intimacy and fearing it. In a romantic relationship, a person with fearful avoidant attachment might express a desire to be close one day but then pull away when their partner shows affection. For example, they might eagerly plan a date and then suddenly become unresponsive to calls or messages when their partner reaches out. In a family setting, someone with fearful avoidant attachment may crave attention and support but also shy away when it's offered. For instance, they might frequently express feelings of neglect or a need for closeness, but then when family members try to engage or help, they might withdraw or reject that support, leading to mixed signals and confusion at work. These people with this type of attachment might show enthusiasm in team projects but then become distant or unresponsive when deeper collaboration is needed, often struggling with trust and fear of being overwhelmed. Understanding attachment style is fundamental in psychiatry, as early attachment patterns can significantly influence mental health outcomes. For example, individuals with anxious attachment are often more susceptible to anxiety disorder, as their heightened sensitivity to rejection can lead to chronic worry and hypervigilance. On the other hand, Avoidant attachment can be linked to depressive disorders and certain personality disorders due to a discomfort with intimacy and a tendency to remain emotional distance. Moreover, fearful avoidant attachment, which arises from inconsistent or traumatic caregiving, can lead to complex mental health challenges. These individuals may be more prone to borderline personality disorders or post traumatic stress disorder as they navigate a push pull dynamic in relationships and struggle with trust and emotional regulation. By delving into these connections, we can better understand how early attachment experiences shape mental health outcomes and inform more targeted psychiatric interventions. While watching this video, you started thinking, this sounds like me, or this sounds like someone who I know. I want to pause here for a moment. Attachment styles are not labels meant to trap you. They are patterns you learn, often very early in life, as a way to survive emotionally. And anything that was learned can be understood, questioned, and slowly changed. Having an insecure attachment style does not mean something is wrong with you. It means your nervous system adapted to the relationships you had at that time. But your brain is not frozen in the past. We know from neuroscience and psychiatry that the brain is plastic. It can form new emotional patterns. So, what can you actually do? This part is for you. The first step is not changing anything. The first step is noticing, awareness without judgment. Start paying attention to your emotional reactions. When do you pull away? When do you become anxious, overwhelmed, or shut down? Not to criticize yourself, but to understand your patterns. Step 2, separate the present from the past. Ask yourself gently, is this reaction about what's happening now, or does it feel familiar from earlier experiences? The third, or state 3, regulate before reacting. When emotions spike, pause. Your nervous system is speaking, and it doesn't need punishment, it needs regulation. The next step, seek support. Attachment patterns are not a personal failure. From a psychiatric perspective, they are deeply connected to emotional regulation, trauma, and mental health, and they are treatable. But if you are the one dealing with someone who has these patterns, this part matters just as much, because being on the receiving end can be painful, confusing, and exhausting. Not every emotional reaction you face is about you. Not every withdrawal is rejection. Not every inconsistency is a message about your worth. Many people react from old emotional wounds, not from the present moment. Their nervous system is responding to learned survival patterns, often formed long before you were part of their life. Emotional boundary with compassion is vital. This does not mean you excuse harmful behavior, and it does not mean you ignore your own limits, but it can help you stop carrying responsibility for something that was never yours to fix. In psychiatry, we don't just treat symptoms, we try to understand the emotional patterns behind them. When we understand attachment, treatment becomes more precise, more compassionate, and more effective. Understanding your attachment style is not the end of the journey, it's the beginning of learning how you relate to others and to yourself, because understanding attachment is not about labeling yourself or others. It's not about saying, this is who I am and that's it. You are not broken. You are not defective. And these patterns are not your identity. Many of these emotional reactions once protected you. In the context where they developed, they made sense. They helped your nervous system survive. But the brain, like I said, is not frozen in time. With awareness, support, and the right treatment, the nervous system can learn new associations, new ways of connecting, and safer ways of relating. Sometimes the most healing realization is this: what hurt you was real, but it was not always about you. And what shaped you was not your fault. It can change your future is to seek support. At this point, a very natural question comes up. Okay, I recognize the pattern. I see myself in this. Now, what do I actually do? Because insight alone is not enough. Understanding your attachment style is a starting point, not a treatment. From a psychiatric perspective, attachment patterns are close linked, like I said before, to how the brain regulates emotions, stress, and relationships. That means treatment often needs to address both emotional learning and nervous system regulation. For that reason, psychotherapy is the foundation. There is a strong evidence that certain types of therapy can help change attachment patterns. Trauma-informed therapy helps the brain process past emotional experiences safely. Attachment-focused Therapy works directly on how you relate, connect, and trust. Cognitive and emotion focused therapy help you recognize reactions before they take over. I want to leave you a key message. Therapy is not about blaming your parents or reliving the past. It's about teaching your nervous system new ways to feel safe in connection. Many people with insecure attachment also struggle with anxiety, depression, mood instability, or trauma symptoms. In those cases, psychiatry treatment can be essential. Medication does not fix attachment, but it can reduce the intensity of symptoms. Treatment is not only for the person with the pattern. This is important. If you are in a relationship with someone who has these patterns, seeking support for yourself also matters. Why? Because chronic emotional inconsistency affects mental health on both sides. Support can include individual therapy, learning healthy emotional boundaries, understanding what you can and you cannot change. Attachment patterns, by the way, can change. Not overnight, not with willpower alone, but with the right treatment, the brain can learn safety, flexibility, and healthier connection. And this is where hope becomes practical, not motivational, not superficial, but grounded in science and lived experience. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to my channel, like the video and comment. Share it with someone who can need to listen this message. Thank you.